Kenya is home to the largest youth population in East Africa, a thriving port that powers global trade, and a painful memory. In 1998, a single attack killed over 200 and changed Western strategy overnight. This is why Kenya and the West, why this partnership matters, and what the West gains, isn't just a question of diplomacy, but one of survival and influence. But how did Kenya become so essential? And what do the numbers reveal about what's truly at stake? Kenya's population now stands at roughly 56 million, making it the seventh most populous country in Africa. The scale of this population is not just a number. It is a force that shapes the country's politics, economy, and international relationships. According to the most recent census and United Nations projections, about 3/4 of Kenyans are under the age of 35. The median age is just 20, a striking contrast to the global average of over 30. This youth majority is not confined to urban centers like Nairobi and Mombasa. It extends across rural counties, fueling both opportunity and pressure on public services. The government and international agencies frequently describe this demographic as Kenya's greatest asset, a potential engine for economic growth and innovation, but also a challenge if jobs and education cannot keep pace. The roots of Kenya's modern state lie in its colonial experience. From 1895, when the British declared the East Africa Protectorate, Kenya was governed as a British colony. For nearly 70 years, colonial administrators imposed English common law, built railways, and established large-scale agriculture, often at the expense of local communities. The legacy of this period is visible in Kenya's legal system, its parliamentary structure, and even in the widespread use of English in government and business. Yet, colonial rule also left deep scars: land dispossession, forced labor, and resistance movements that shaped national identity. Independence came in December 1963, following years of political mobilization, negotiation, and armed struggle. Kenya's first leaders faced a choice: whether to align with the Western Bloc or pursue a non-aligned or socialist path, as some neighbors did. The new government opted for close ties with Britain and other Western nations, retaining much of the inherited legal and economic framework. This decision was not inevitable, but it set the stage for decades of cooperation in trade, security, and diplomacy. The institutions and alliances forged in those early years continued to influence Kenya's role on the world stage, providing a foundation for the partnerships and strategic calculations that define its relationship with the West today. At 10:30 a.m. on August 7, 1998, a powerful explosion tore through downtown Nairobi. The bombing of the U.S. Embassy killed 213 people, including 12 Americans and 34 Kenyan embassy staff, and left more than 4,000 wounded. The devastation extended across city blocks, with hundreds suffering life-altering injuries. This single event forced a reckoning, not just in Kenya, but in capitals across the West. For the United States and its allies, the attack made clear that threats in East Africa could have global consequences and demanded a new level of security engagement. In the months that followed, U.S. security officials arrived in Nairobi to work alongside Kenyan police and intelligence services. Joint investigations, training programs, and intelligence sharing became routine. The embassy itself was rebuilt to fortress standards, and American funding flowed into Kenyan counterterrorism units. The attack had exposed vulnerabilities, but it also created a partnership built on shared risk. Geography amplified Kenya's new role. The country sits at the crossroads of East Africa and the Indian Ocean, bordering Somalia, Ethiopia, and South Sudan, regions often marked by instability. The port of Mombasa, Kenya's largest seaport, handles over 30 million tons of cargo a year and serves as the main gateway for landlocked neighbors like Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. Its position makes it a vital artery for both regional trade and international maritime security. Western navies and intelligence agencies began to treat Mombasa as a linchpin for anti-piracy patrols and logistics in the Horn of Africa. Nairobi's importance was further cemented by its role as a diplomatic center. The city hosts the United Nations Environment Program and UN Habitat, making it one of only 4 cities worldwide with major UN headquarters. This concentration of international agencies brings a steady flow of diplomats, aid workers, and security specialists, deepening the city's ties to Western governments and multiplying the stakes of stability. By the turn of the century, Kenya had become an essential hub for Western security, logistics, and diplomacy in Africa. The trauma of 1998 had given way to a partnership defined by shared interests and geographic logic, setting the stage for deeper economic and military collaboration in the decades that followed. Kenya's economic profile stands out in sub-Saharan Africa, with a gross domestic product estimated at $113 billion in 2024. This growth is driven by a diverse private sector that extends from agriculture and logistics to a thriving technology scene. Nairobi's reputation as the Silicon Savannah is well earned, with mobile money platforms like M-Pesa and a wave of fintech startups drawing global attention. According to World Bank data, more than 92% of Kenya's electricity now comes from renewable sources, geothermal, wind, and hydropower, placing the country at the forefront of Africa's green energy transition. These strengths have made Kenya a magnet for Western investment and trade. The United States remains a top partner, with bilateral trade reaching $1.1 billion annually. The Strategic Trade and Investment Partnership, launched in the early 2020s, aims to deepen ties in digital trade, clean technology, and agriculture. American companies anchor themselves in Nairobi's innovation districts, while the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation has pledged over $1 billion for infrastructure and enterprise projects across the country. This financial commitment is not just about profit. It is closely linked to the stability and security of the region, a point made clear in official statements from both governments. On the ground, economic cooperation and security interests converge. Camp Simba, located in Lamu County near the Somali border, is a key example. The facility, originally developed by the Kenyan Navy in the 1990s, now serves as a forward operating base for U.S. Africa Command. It supports drone operations, joint exercises, and rapid response missions targeting threats in Somalia and the wider Horn of Africa. The U.S. Department of Defense funds regular upgrades, with American contractors and local workers contributing to the base's expansion. AFRICOM describes Kenya as an essential partner in combating terrorism and safeguarding maritime routes, underlining the connection between economic investment and security cooperation. The presence of Camp Simba demonstrates how financial commitments are reinforced by a physical, operational footprint, a synergy that shapes both countries' interests in the region. British Army trainers arrive in Nanyuki each year, bringing with them advanced equipment and modern tactics. Around 300 permanent Bay2K personnel and up to 10,000 rotating British troops conduct exercises annually, working side by side with the Kenya Defense Forces. This partnership is not just about drills. Local economies see a direct impact. UK Ministry of Defense data estimates $68 million flows into the region each year through contracts for housing, transport, and services. Kenyan soldiers gain access to specialized courses in counterinsurgency and logistics, skills that prove essential beyond national borders. These investments have built a force with regional reach. Over 3,500 Kenyan troops are currently deployed in Somalia as part of the African Union Transition Mission, or ATMIS. Their presence is a cornerstone of efforts to contain al-Shabaab and stabilize the Horn of Africa. Kenyan officers now lead multinational units, drawing on training received from both British and American instructors. Joint exercises, such as Operation Justified Accord and Askari Storm, test interoperability and crisis response, with Western and Kenyan troops operating as a unified team. Recognition of Kenya's growing capability has followed. In August 2023, the United States designated Kenya a major non-NATO ally, the first in sub-Saharan Africa. This status opens doors to advanced defense technology, financing, and joint planning, without binding treaty obligations. The White House announced $100 million in new security assistance, aimed at strengthening Kenya's border security, cyber defense, and counterterrorism operations. These developments are not just symbolic. In May 2024, President William Ruto became the first African leader in over 15 years to receive a full state visit to Washington. In his remarks, Ruto called the partnership a relationship of equals, built on trust, not dependency. Diplomatic capital grows alongside military capability. Kenya's seat at global forums is secured by its contributions on the ground and its reliability as a Western partner. The result is a partnership where capacity building leads directly to influence, regionally and on the world stage. In 2024, Kenya's economy reached $113 billion, with 92% of its electricity from renewables, a figure cited by the World Bank and national energy reports. This economic growth, combined with Kenya's role as host to the region's largest seaport and major UN agencies, underpins its enduring value to Western partners. Documents from the US State Department and UK Ministry of Defense confirm that security cooperation has deepened since the 1998 Nairobi embassy bombing, with the US and UK maintaining active military facilities and joint training programs. Despite these open records, the full scope of intelligence sharing and the precise strategic calculations behind recent diplomatic upgrades, such as the 2023 Major Non-NATO Ally designation, remain classified. What is clear is that Kenya's youthful population and stable institutions continue to attract Western investment and recognition. As President Ruto stated during the 2024 state visit, this is now a partnership of equals. The evidence shows that for both Kenya and the West, the relationship is built on shared interests, tested by history, and defined by ongoing mutual benefit.